Today we take care of a thermostat issue that's causing our TSX to overheat. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project Budget VTEC Daily. That is our 2008 Acura TSX manual, which is important. Guys, we've been having some problems with the car. I've been daily in the car, and just lately with this crazy high temperature heat wave we've been having, let's be honest, it's gonna be the entire summer like this, high 90s, getting into the hundreds. The old TSX is showing some heat on the temp gauge, which is unfortunate. Never did this before. I never let it get too hot, just got back on the highway, cruised, but in that stop and go traffic, when it's hot like that, I was seeing some higher temps than I wanted. It wasn't consistent, it wasn't all the time, which makes me think the water pump is not probably the cause here, it's probably gonna be that thermostat. So today, I'm gonna show you guys how to change out the thermostat on this generation of Acura TSX. Let's get in the garage and get a little dirty. And since I'm gonna actually refresh all the coolant anyway, I'm just gonna pull the radiator. So we'll pop the petcock or open the lower hose, drain out all the coolant, and then we'll go ahead and just pull the whole radiator assembly out. It's super easy. All you do is gotta take this little cowl off here in the front. Got a couple bolts probably on each side holding these brackets. Once you get those brackets off, disconnect the electrical connectors. Obviously that hose needs to be disconnected. We'll just lift the whole radiator and fan shred out as one unit. And then we'll have even more accessibility to that thermostat that's hidden down in there. Time to drain the coolant out of the TSX. I did check, it is the blue coolant, so at least they were using the right stuff. I'm not surprised, this car's been very well maintained over its life. So let's loosen the petcock, which you barely see right here, and that should drain all that coolant out, and we can get the radiator ready to be removed. Let's see if I can loosen it. Sometimes these don't come loose. Oh, that one came loose by hand. Our lucky day. All right, let's see, I'm loosening it. Oh yeah, we're starting to get coolant. It's a cool blue color. Actually, my favorite color of coolant. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's get this out of here. Petcock removed. And here's where things get crazy. I'm gonna go loosen the radiator cap. So get ready for some coolant to explode out of here. There it comes. Oh boy, it's raining. Not bad, not bad. Look at that color. Cool.
Make that look like green blue.
It does look like a green blue, doesn't it?
It looks like...
Someone might have mixed some green coolant in there over time. What do you think? Sneaky, sneaky. All right, we're gonna let this coolant drain all the way out, and then we'll go ahead and get the radiator out. Okay, while the rest of the coolant's draining out, I'm actually gonna go ahead and loosen that lower hose where it attaches, because we need all those hoses disconnected from the radiator. So I'm gonna do that at this time. Now we can disconnect the top radiator hose here. Easy peasy. We can just jam this up out of the way somewhere. You're then gonna remove way too many push pins. There are 12 holding this little cowl on, and that's to access the brackets that hold the radiator in place. Yeah, 12. I guess Acura was scared of this thing flying around. After you get all 12 of those push pins out, this just slips out. A little tricky over the hood latch, but there you go. That piece is removed. Now you have access to the 2 radiator support bolts here for the bracket, 10 millimeter, and those things should pop right off. Okay, with those 2 bolts out, you can just pop the brackets off. Pull the brackets off, that radiator should be nice and loose. You've got 2 electrical connectors. The one on the passenger side, easy enough, and there's also a clip holding it to the radiator itself, so you want to make sure you undo that clip. You don't want anything connected. Go ahead and pull it to the side to make sure you're free. Same over here, just 1 connector. Easy peasy. And we are still leaking coolant out at this time, so we're going to let that keep going for a little bit longer, and then we'll pick this thing up. All right, we're going to check around our radiator. Both of our electrical connectors are done. We don't have anything else connected. Let's go ahead and pull the radiator straight up and out. Feels like I'm still Is there another connector in there? There is. There's a bottom. I think there's a temp sensor on the bottom. Good catch. Let's go under and disconnect. Not only was there a little temp sensor, that you have to disconnect. It's also, there's another attachment point where it is clipped to the fan housing, the fan shroud, so you have to undo that too. Okay guys, we're pulling the radiator straight up. This is enough playing around. Biggity bam, comes right out of the car, and we're gonna hose this down because it's pretty dirty. Now you can actually see clearly where the thermostat is. It's gonna go right where this hose goes in. It's kind of dark down there, but at least we have a lot more room to work with. Our radiator is not super clean. I say we go ahead and take it outside and hose it off and get it clear, and it'll just operate a lot better like that. It's pretty gunked up here, so yeah, let's clean this old radiator up. And of course, you gotta drop one of the bolts right there in the coolant. And here's our old thermostat, still on the hose here. But yeah, time to replace that guy. No idea how long it's been in there, but it's potentially sticking and causing the car to get warm. So let's go ahead, slap a new one on and put it back in. Here's the old thermostat housing. Gonna go ahead and pull it off of the lower rad. Oh, as I pour coolant over myself, pull it off of the lower rad hose here. It's hard to tell with the plastic stuff, right? Because the plastic doesn't age the same way. I mean, it's dirty, but and it's an original Honda one. Wow, nice. All right. Cool. There's our old thermostat. From the local parts store, sourced a Murray one. I've had good luck with this brand in the past. It's good stuff. You always want to check and make sure before you try to install it that it matches. Here's our new one. Here's our old one. Absolutely identical match there. Everything looks really pretty much similar. Make sure that your new one has a rubber gasket in here or you're going to have a very bad day. No RTV or anything sealant necessary. You're just going to bolt this to the engine. Again, this is plastic. Don't go hardcore, but let's get this new one on there. So yeah, this is a mixture of green and blue coolant. You can see I put a light on it here. So that's unfortunate. That should really be blue. Sometimes people just add the green stuff. It's more readily available, and I think that's what happened here. So you always want to run recommended coolant. I think the green stuff's actually fine for this car, but hey, recommended is the blue stuff, so that's what we're gonna run. Boy, that's kind of a pain in the butt, getting that thermostat in there. It's really tough angles for those 3 bolts, but you just want to go nice and easy, and then when you're tightening them all up, remember, you're tightening into plastic. You can see the new plastic housing down there for the thermostat. Go easy, guys. You don't need to be breaking anything, but that part's done. We are good to go. Thermostat, new thermostat and housing in the car. Now we need to just go ahead and put everything back together. That includes dropping back in our cleaned up radiator. So there we go. We've cleaned off the front of our radiator quite a bit. Every little bit helps, I think, when it comes to cooling. We also sourced the right coolant, so we got the Xerox Asian vehicle, the blue. This is pretty close to Honda OEM, so this should help a lot too. And it's a little warm in the garage today, so you know, source some coolant for yourself, guys. Classic for me. All right, let's go ahead and get this radiator dropped back into our TSX. All right, obviously before we drop the radiator in, we're gonna make sure our area is clear. All those, you know, plugs and different cables and everything, you want to have moved to the side so you're not trapping any of those, because you do have your clips and everything to plug in. You got that sensor at the bottom, make sure that's down below, and your lower radiator hose isn't going to get in the way. So let's go ahead and grab our radiator. There we go, radiator. Let's go ahead and drop her in. You're lining up to those 2 little things at the bottom there. Next thing we do is put our brackets on to secure our radiator in place. Okay, for the brackets, pretty straightforward. The smaller one goes over here. There's a little tab on the front that kind of goes down right there, and it will slide on just like so. That's where the hood prop rod lays across. Goes on this side, same deal, tab in first, pull the radiator back, just lock it down. We got those little bolts to put on, a little 10 millimeters. We can go ahead and put our shroud back on the front here. Gotta lift up the little hood release there, make sure we line up all our holes. There we go, all 12 clips in place. This thing's not flying off anywhere. Let's make sure we clip in both of our fan connectors. We definitely want to have some juice going to those fans. That'll present an overheating problem for sure. Done and done. Easy peasy. Probably time to start connecting these hoses, right? Next, I'll be going under the car to connect that lower one, the one that connects to where our thermostat housing went, and of course to put the petcock back in, because we won't get too far down the road without this thing leaking. All right, triple check everything before this next step. Trust me on this one. Make sure both your hoses are connected underneath, both ends of that hose that go to the thermostat housing you just put in, the fresh one, and to the lower part of the radiator. Make sure they're clamped down tight. Make sure you put the sensor back. Make sure you clicked in both fan connectors, and make sure everything else is good. Just go over the car just to make sure everything is where it should be. Everything's tightened down, you have nothing loose. Coolant just isn't as cheap as it used to be. So it's time to add our coolant. We're basically gonna fill it up until we top off the radiator, and then I'm gonna run the car through 2 or 3 heat cycles with the heat on full blast, so we're getting that coolant into the heater core and everything, and we'll get it up to operating temp where the fans kick on and everything, and then we'll just keep it going, add coolant as necessary, and it will burp the system. We're watching for air bubbles to come out of here, so let's go ahead and first off top the car off, check for leaks. And it is the blue stuff, delicious. You can even squeeze the upper hoses, get the air out, and suck that coolant in even quicker. So that's 1 gallon down, so you should be thirsty. All right, and it's actually okay as long as you have a watertight filler here and it's not leaking all over your floor and making a horrible disaster. I like to leave a little coolant in here. It's a lot easier to see the bubbles, and it creates a higher point for the bubbles to escape, so getting all that air out of the system, especially with the front end of the vehicle jacked up, helps us even more. All right, guys. Woo! It is time to find out how we did here. Now I'm gonna open the garage door, get some ventilation, and then we're gonna start this car up. Got the car running. We're going to keep an eye on this coolant level. We're going to look for bubbles that will start to come up as the car heats up. Just the normal part of it. We want to make sure we get all those bubbles out. And like I said, we'll probably run it through at least 2 minimum heat cycles. Get all that fluid circulating, get the bubbles out, get it going through the heater core. I'm actually going to go turn the heat on right now. So let's just keep an eye on it. Just watching this coolant, waiting for all the bubbles to come up. When it stops making bubbles, we'll know we have burped the system. As the car warms up, you're going to start to see the bubbles coming up just like that. We are doing the right thing, guys. That means the air is escaping the cooling system. Essentially burping. So, yeah, let's just keep it going. We're going to, like I said, let those fans kick on twice. And we should be good to go. No leaks, so we did everything right so far. Keep an eye on that temp gauge, because we don't know for sure if that was causing our overheat condition, and we definitely don't want to overheat while we're looking for something else. So keep your eyes on everything, but let's get these bubbles out of the system and see if we can maintain a regular temp while we're idling. All right, we've been idling for over 25 minutes, almost a half hour now. It's gone through at least 2 heat cycles. I felt the fans kick on twice, and look where we're at, guys. That had to be the thermostat, because this thing just sitting in a little bit of traffic, and it's 90, 91 in the garage right now. This needle would climb probably right up here. It didn't overheat, didn't go all the way. I always made sure to get back on the highway, let it cool down. I know enough to shut a car off when it's getting super hot. I think we had to stick in thermostat, guys. I think that fresh coolant helps too. But man, this is 30 minutes of idling at 92 degrees and looking super good. Man, I love this car. Wasn't that much of a job. Wasn't too hard, wasn't too pricey. Love it. Also, just in case you guys forgot that this is not a super fresh-faced car, look at that mileage. We are up to 322,000 miles, guys. I freaking love this car. I mean, I absolutely love it. It makes an excellent engaging daily. Great 6-speed manual, of course, right there. Fuel economy could come up a little bit. I think I'm averaging 24, 25 with some spirited driving and stop and go, definitely. But man, look at the mileage. Let's go. Let's hit 500,000. Love this TSX. Overheating issue taken care of. Just a couple items left. Time to put the radiator cap back on. And we have our overflow reservoir. We need to fill that up to the line. Pull our funnel, put our overflow tube back in there, tighten that down. Voila, that's it guys. Gotta look at that K-Series one last time. But anyway, we took care of our overheating problem. Like I said, this thing idled for 30 minutes in 92-degree weather. Didn't even get past where it needs to be. Didn't get on the hot side at all. So I think we've taken care of things. Obviously, I'm gonna go ahead and stress test it a little further. Take it on some like longer trips. Obviously the work commute, which is a lot of stop and go. That's where I noticed the overheating. So thermostat installed, new fluid. Let's go TSX. Since we are advocates of science here in the Auto Obsessive Garage, we could also test the old thermostat. You could put it in a pot of boiling water and put a thermometer in there and see if it opens at the correct temperature range for the thermostat, see if it closes, opens as it should. Now, a sticking thermostat can be a little tricky to diagnose even using that, but you should be able to see it stick, see it not open, even when it gets hot. So you could use science to prove this, but hey, 30 minutes idling in the garage at this temperature, I'm happy. So, happy TSX.